Beware of negative people, because negative people have a problem for every solution. Folks, a couple months ago I did a video on why preppers would want to plant certain plants now, if possible, instead of trying to plant them after the grid goes down, the balloon goes up. The point of that video was that some things just take 2 or 3 years to establish themselves, and you don't want to die of starvation or go hungry during the 2 or 3 years. So if possible, you plant stuff now to get it established so that when the balloon does go up, that it's already producing food. And one of the things that I showed in the video was the raspberry bushes that I have going here. And probably about right here, I will do a side-by-side shot. But when I did the video a couple months ago, it was pretty much just right after the thaw. And I explained how the raspberry bushes were having new starts and how I was pretty excited how they were going to do this year and how it looked like they were going to do much better this year than they had the year before, and then obviously the year before that. Now, as you can see in the side-by-side shot, that when I filmed the original video a couple months ago in the super early spring, just how bare they were. And somebody made a comment, well, a couple people made a comment, that something along the effects, real close, kind of snarky in their comments, about how those raspberry bushes would only give me 2 or 3 berries. Now, this isn't to the average, the normal person that watches the videos. And, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that I have the best community that subscribes to my channel. I'm not going to try to overplay it like that, but the people that, most of the people that subscribe to my channel, very intelligent, very smart, excellent community members, very happy that they're on my channel. But obviously, with any channel, you always get a handful of people that just know how to show themselves and show what they really are. So anyways, a couple 2 or 3 comments on that video. You know, comments along the lines of, now you might get 2 or 3 berries out of those. How would you ever feed yourselves with that? And I very plainly stated in that video that it was super early spring, and I was pointing out all the new small starts. Folks, when you make comments like that, all you're doing is just showing that you really do not know what you're talking about. You're really showing your ignorance on something when you just make snide comments like that. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with asking a question or making an observation. I don't have an issue if somebody would have said, you know, when people say something like, hey, it doesn't really look like you'd get that much food from there. Do you think you'd want to grow more than that? I have no issue with that. The point of this video is that when somebody just makes a snide remark like they know everything or they're super intelligent or however you know, whatever, when somebody says, you know, something along the lines of, that's only going to give you 2 or 3 berries, you're going to starve to death or what have you. Again, those comments don't bother me. What I'm doing is I'm pointing out how ignorant that makes you look when you make a comment like that. But again, you can see the comparison of what it looked like just 2 months ago, and you can see what it looks like now. And all of these little things that you see just covering this bush, or these bushes, you can see there's a ton of them. These are all future berries. We are going to be getting a ton of berries this year. Just an absolute ton of them. Now, I do not try to grow enough food in my backyard to try to feed my family should the grid go down. What I grow in my backyard is my practice gardening. I am not trying to feed my whole family for forever with what I grow in my backyard. This is where I learn to grow. I live in a subdivision. I have a typical subdivision backyard. I could probably grow all the food that my family would need, at least vegetable-wise and fruit-wise, in my backyard. But one issue would be we wouldn't have much of a usable backyard. If SHTF happens, bad enough, where we actually have to start relying purely on what we grow, you won't find me here. This is practicing, learning, so that if I have to leave, if SHTF happens, and we have to start relying on food that we solely grow, and you cannot go to a grocery store and get anything, you won't find me here in my subdivision home. I'm going to the prepper retreat group, or prepper retreat location. This, again, is how I practice, how I learn. My point, or one of my points of the last video was, again, with wanting to start things now, certain plants now, so that they're well established so SHTF happens. You know, a good example is this grapevine. The first year I planted it, it barely survived. I didn't even know if it would survive. The second year, it grew out, but produced absolutely nothing. It just grew out like this. This year now being the third year, now we're finally getting fruit on it. These are little bitty baby grapes. And I'm hoping this picks it up. But all these little bunches like this, I believe, are baby grapes. This is the first year that it's done this. So I'm still learning, and that's what this is all about here in my backyard. It's learning. Knowing what to expect. Learning how this stuff works. Learning what takes more sunlight, what can take less sunlight. Just all the little different things that you don't know and that you just don't learn until you actually do it. But again, this is my practice garden. Now, while I do grow some staples every year, while there's some things I do grow every year because we use quite a bit of, like these Cherokee tomato plants, some things we switch out. And I try again on planting those until I get them right. Good example are these russet potatoes here that I'm trying to grow. See if I can get zoomed up close enough where you can actually see the little buds coming out. I've tried 2 or 3 times before to grow potatoes, these russet potatoes, and I just fail miserably every time I try. So I'm trying again until I figure out what I'm doing wrong. And if I fail this year, I'll do it again. Last year, I did sweet potatoes. I had failed at sweet potatoes the previous 2 times before that. Finally had a good harvest of them last year, figured out what I was doing wrong. And now this year, I'm trying again on the white potatoes. And if I do a good harvest this year, if I actually figure out what I'm doing wrong, what I was doing wrong, and I think what I was doing wrong was I just wasn't getting them enough sunlight. So now they're in a spot with more sunlight. If I get a good harvest this year and I figured out what I did wrong, then next year, sorry, had a mosquito on my arm. Then next year, I will probably switch something else out. Now, you might be looking at this garden bed and saying, man, there's nothing here. But I'm filming this again still in pretty early spring. So these are just barely popping out. A month from now, they'll be up to here. 2 months from now, they'll be pretty high up and falling over from their own weight. So folks, again, of course, again, this isn't going to 90% of you that watch the videos on a regular basis. But again, folks, when you make a snide comment, what you're doing is you're showing your ignorance. You're showing that you don't know what you're talking about. But what scares me the most, the only thing that really bothers me about those snide comments is that a brand new prepper could be coming on, could be watching the videos, trying to learn stuff. Somebody that just came to the realization that the grocery stores could, they could stop delivering food to the grocery stores, that our power grid could go down. So you get a brand new prepper that's watching videos, trying to learn as much as they can, and then they go down into the comments and they're reading the comments and they see a comment like that, and then they, because they're a brand new prepper, because they don't understand, or they don't have the knowledge yet, then they read a comment, a snide comment from somebody, and they don't realize it's a snide comment, or they don't realize, they don't have the knowledge themselves to understand that that person that made the snide comment doesn't know what they're talking about. You could be hurting another prepper that's trying to learn something. So anyways, folks, I've been working on a couple of big projects. You haven't been getting very many videos from me lately. I have been working from sun up to sundown, sometimes covering overnight shifts. The wife and the son are keeping me busy. With it being summertime, now we're having extra yard work to add on top of everything. It's getting starting to get dark here. I'm hoping this video is at least halfway in focus. Everything is really just starting to pop out. And here in a month or so, all this, well, I don't want to say all this like it's huge amounts, but a lot of this will be overflowing out of these garden beds. Right now it doesn't look like much, but again, it's still pretty early spring, and in a couple months these will be overflowing and hopefully producing a lot of food. If not, I'll figure out what I did wrong and I'll do it again. Keep doing it until I figure out what I've done wrong.
And history has shown that during times of disaster that people will strip all wood and scrounge every book so that they can burn them for heat and for cooking. So after SHTF, you may not have wood to cook with, or you just may need to conserve your wood for warmth. So to learn how preppers cook their food without fire or liquid fuel, and to learn how you can have just another option to ensure that you can cook your food after SHTF, then click on the video that should be appearing on the right side of the screen just about now.
Anyways, folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.